Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is Jason, host of Fighting Words Financial. Today we're going to talk about Algorand. Now, my Patreon group and I have been discussing cryptocurrencies both in the public group and through private messaging now for a couple of months, and Algorand keeps coming up in conversation. And right now it's pretty timely, especially considering what's going on with Bitcoin. So I wanted to have a discussion today in this video, about Algorand. It's probably going to be one of my longest videos that I've ever made. There's a lot of factual information that I want to cover in this video. And like I do with all of the work that I do in this channel, it's going to be factually based. There's not going to be a ton of hype. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of Algorand versus some other currencies. And you guys can make up your own decisions at the end of the video, whether or not you think this is something you are willing to invest in or something that you'd like to consider. So what exactly is Algorand? Is it something that can replace Bitcoin? Is it going to be carbon negative or at least less damaging to the environment than Bitcoin is? The answer to both of those questions is yes, but there are a lot of considerations to think about in there. So Algorand is a cryptocurrency, like I said, that's been brought up several times by a member of my Patreon. And this gentleman has helped me out a lot in preparing for this video. He doesn't want me to name him personally, but I would like to thank him publicly. So in light of recent comments made by Elon Musk about the nature of the energy-intensive proof-of-work cryptocurrency consensus and validation methods that are used by Bitcoin, I thought a video like this on a proof-of-stake type of currency that is 99% greener than Bitcoin was going to be pretty timely. So what exactly is Algorand and what makes it so special? The name Algorand is simply a portmanteau of two different words, algo coming from algorithm and rand coming from random. And if you've heard of Tether, then you should know that Tether is integrated and deployed on Algorand's blockchain. But according to CoinMarketCap's description, Algorand is a self-sustaining, decentralized blockchain-based network that supports a wide range of applications. So what does that mean exactly? Well, if you watched my recent video on Ethereum, where I talked about the wider adoption of the Ethereum network for decentralized finance applications as compared to Bitcoin, and how that was more exciting than just the rise in price of cryptocurrencies, you should probably know something about Algorand as well, and we're definitely going to jump right into that. So Algorand is considered potentially to be an Ethereum killer, largely because it already operates on a proof-of-stake consensus method, whereas Ethereum is really still in the process of making this transition, and they're looking to complete that process by 2021 or 2022. So Algorand, like Ethereum, is not just a cryptocurrency, but it also provides a smart contract platform for other organizations to build financial software on top of it. Now, I wanted to get this video out on this cryptocurrency while it's still relatively unknown by a lot of people involved in the cryptocurrency markets who are on exchanges and who are actively trading Bitcoin and things like that. I think that Algorand as a cryptocurrency and Algorand as the backbone of decentralized finance apps has a clear path towards growth, especially in the decentralized finance world. I'm going to cover a lot in this video about Algorand, and of course, I'm not going to come close to scratching the surface of everything there is to know about Algorand. The initial white paper that I read on Algorand was 75 pages long. It's absolutely amazing. It's written in a way that's actually fairly easy to digest, even for someone who doesn't have a strong math or cryptologic background. So I recommend that you investigate Algorand's vision on your own, as well as watching videos on YouTube, of course. But please go to the website. It's just algorand.com and read that white paper. It's really the best way to grasp what the creator Silvio Mercalli is trying to accomplish. So let's talk about Elon Musk and Tesla and Bitcoin a little bit right now. On Wednesday, May 12th, 2021, Elon Musk reported on Twitter that Tesla is no longer going to be accepting Bitcoin as payment due to the total energy consumption and usage of fossil fuels in Bitcoin mining and transactions. Now, remember, Bitcoin uses a mining, transaction validation, and consensus method called proof of work. This method is highly energy intensive and requires a ton of processing power. Now, that tweet was actually good news for all of the cryptocurrencies that use the less energy intensive proof of stake method. Algorand is one of those and is actually supposedly entirely carbon negative. That's a statement that I can't really verify. That's something that they claim in their white papers. I can't really verify it at this point, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't think there's a reasonable argument, though, at this point for utilizing proof of work over proof of stake for transactional purposes due to the scalability issues and energy efficiency issues with proof of work. The entire crypto world, I think, is eventually going to go this way unless some other superior alternative is discovered. The most efficient and scalable, proof of stake transaction validation method is that of Algorand at this point. The Algorand network can handle up to 46,000 transactions per second. At least they're going to be able to do that by the end of 2021, while Bitcoin handles 7. No, not 7,000 transactions per second. 7. Actually, 7. This is why this is potentially a really big deal. I don't want you to think that that Algorand is the only currency out there using this method, or the only currency out there that is trying to solve the issue of scalability. Cardano is one that's actually larger than Algorand at this time, and they definitely deserve a look as well. So the Algorand network, though, already provides a 6,571-fold improvement over Bitcoin at a greater than 99% efficiency improvement. So for that reason alone, it really does seem illogical, especially for Tesla. If they're a green company and they have this vision of a carbon neutral future, it's illogical for them to support the use of Bitcoin for transactional purposes. It really doesn't fit into their goal of creating that carbon neutral future. Additionally, the increase in Bitcoin mining may actually be driving the use of more harmful energy sources like coal, because most of this Bitcoin mining is done in centers in China in these giant server farms. So tack onto that the trend of Bitcoin really being seen as a storage of value by investors and not as a medium of financial transactions because of the time that it takes to process those transactions, because of the limited throughput for the Bitcoin network. I think that this announcement from Tesla actually makes a lot of sense. Bitcoin has some fundamental issues with scalability right now, and from the perspective of going green, it doesn't make sense at all for Tesla to endorse it. So why is Tesla thinking about accepting cryptocurrency at all? And maybe to that end, why is anyone thinking about accepting cryptocurrency at all? To understand that, you really need to understand what money is. And folks, I gotta tell you, this is really a rabbit hole. Money is not what you think. Oh, you probably think you understand what money is because you might have some in your hand or in your wallet or in your bank account. But really, try to understand it from the perspective of the author of the book Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, a gentleman by the name of Yuval Noah Harari. And I'm going to quote from him: "Money, in fact, is the most successful story ever invented and told by humans because it is the only story that everyone believes. Not everyone believes in God, not everyone believes in human rights, and not everyone believes in nationalism, but everybody believes in money." So take that previous quote and replace the word story with lie, and you're going to start to understand exactly what money is and why the most important question that arises when understanding the importance of cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general is to understand what exactly is money. Now, I'm paraphrasing Mr. Harari this time rather than directly quote him when I say that money is just a belief system. And I know that some people watching this video are going to have an emotional reaction to what I just said, and they're already rejecting this in their heads, and they're coming up with all of the things that they think that back the currency that they use today and makes it real. But money really is just a belief system. It's not just coins and banknotes. Money is really anything that people are willing to use to systematically represent the value of other things for the purposes of exchanging goods and services. It doesn't even have to exist in reality. It's simply a psychological construct that works by converting matter into mind. I mean, let's use the US dollar as an example here. It's just a colorful piece of paper. It doesn't have any objective value. I can't eat it. As a building material, it would be pretty poor. If I tried to wear it or burn it to keep myself warm, I think I'd be pretty disappointed. If you get paid via direct deposit by your employer and you pay your bills via bill pay, that money only exists as an entry in an electronic ledger. It doesn't really exist in an objective reality. Regardless of whether or not it's a piece of paper or an electronic 1 or 0, it is no more objectively real than any cryptocurrency. It only has value because everyone believes that it has value, and it is the most successful lie ever told in the history of humanity. It's a lie or a story that is accepted and venerated across borders and cultures almost without exception. It's also a story that happens to both require and support some very negative things about human societies, like class hierarchy and economic dominance in the form of oligarchies. In addition, it has issues of inefficiency caused by centralization of authority that reinforce class hierarchies. The story of money is not just as simple as I hand you $1 and you hand me $1 worth of Sour Patch Kids, and you and I both agree and understand that that transaction was fair. Money involves the entire planet buying into a fiction that ensures that the most powerful storytellers, the ones with the loudest voices like big bankers, financiers, and governments, are the ones with their hands in every cookie jar and the ones who reap the largest benefits. This is one of the reasons, just one of the reasons, there's a push for cryptocurrencies and decentralized financial applications that remove a lot of the middlemen. It's all about freedom and control over your own finances. Now, when it comes to Algorand, they're actually just one of many organizations that are attempting to disrupt the financial industry by decentralizing it and democratizing it. So why am I so interested in particular in Algorand when there's a bunch of other companies out there trying to decentralize and democratize finance? Well, there's a couple of different reasons, but one of the reasons really is the founder, Silvio Micali. He's really kind of an interesting guy and a well-accomplished mathematician and cryptologist. He's one of the co-founders, and he's a highly respected individual in the field of cryptography. He holds a PhD in computer science from the University of California at Berkeley. He got that in 1982, and he's best known for his early work in cryptography. He currently works at MIT as a professor and researcher. In 1993, he won the Gödel Prize. In 2004, he won the RSA Award for Excellence in Mathematics. In 2007, he was inducted as a member of the National Academy of Sciences and a fellow of International Association for Cryptologic Research. His most impressive feat, though, is probably his 2012 Turing Award, which is essentially something like a Nobel Prize in computer science, awarded for his accomplishments in cryptography. So Silvio Micali is an impressive guy, and like I said, there are many reasons to be impressed with the Algorand project or endeavor, and one of the reasons that Algorand should be considered a key player in the cryptocurrency space is that they claim to be able to solve what's called the Blockchain Trilemma. The Trilemma theory was created by Vitalik Buterin, one of the founders of Ethereum. The Trilemma theory is the claim that currently cryptocurrencies are unable to have these three separate aspects. And they need to achieve these in order to be widely adopted. They need to be decentralized, they need to have scalability, and they need to be secure. Currently, the theory is that they can only have two out of the three. Ethereum and Bitcoin, as an example, have both proven to have a lack of scalability using proof-of-work transaction methods. Bitcoin is highly expensive and inefficient for transactions, and Ethereum, while it's a big improvement, it's not everything that we hope for. Plus, as cryptocurrency is more widely adopted for everyday transactions, proof-of-work systems are going to become more and more expensive. Where the Ethereum project currently stands, we definitely see wider adoption with decentralized finance apps or DeFi apps or dApps, however you want to call them. But Ethereum is increasingly becoming inefficient as the network is becoming more congested due to more computing power used by proof-of-work and the growing number of transactions. Hence the reason why Ethereum is trying to transition to a proof-of-stake network. So Ethereum is weak in scalability currently, but strong on two out of the other three branches of the trilemma, decentralization and security. They expect to improve their scalability, though, as the project transitions into Ethereum 2.0 and the proof-of-stake transaction method of verification. I do think, though, that even with this implementation of Ethereum 2.0, and the competition from altcoins like Cardano, Algorand still could potentially come out as a strong player, and they have a pathway towards success. Algorand theoretically has the ability to handle a much higher transaction load per second for far less in the way of fees, while staying entirely green and free of carbon emissions. Algorand's mission is to create a world where everyone creates and exchanges value efficiently, transparently, and securely. It's a decentralized, scalable, and secure open source technology designed to eliminate barriers to prosperity for everyone. So what does Algorand mean with that word salad that I just tossed up on the screen there? So hang on, we're going to dig pretty deeply on this one. So if decentralization is one of the main goals of Algorand, let's talk a little bit about why centralization could be harmful. And I think Facebook is probably the best example. It's a platform that has tons of information on there, and we think of it as belonging to ourselves. And we think of Facebook as being, this one node or computer somewhere in Central Valley that controls all the information in Facebook, and we contribute to it. We have all these other people who contribute to it. It's apparently sort of democratized, where in reality it really isn't. Mark Zuckerberg is the majority shareholder of Facebook, and ultimately he controls everything on the platform. So if you compare that to Algorand, which is a decentralized platform, Algorand is managed by a wide array of random nodes across the globe. The benefits of the decentralized blockchain is that it allows complete transparency through this platform, and it doesn't allow any one person to exert too much control, meaning that Silvio Micali himself, the founder of Algorand, is not able to go into the software and start making adjustments as he pleases. It requires 51% of the nodes on the network to implement those changes and agree. This is the decentralization aspect of Algorand. Algorand also should be able to grow in size and to address the scalability concerns that most people have when it comes to this blockchain trilemma. And lastly, the security issues are solved through the randomness of Algorand. And let me explain this in a little bit more detail. In decentralized finance, when transactions occur, there has to be some trusted nodes in that cluster to put the data behind a particular transaction in the blockchain. So protecting those particular nodes and ensuring that those are honest players in the transaction has been a particular problem to solve in every blockchain essentially, which is why there are so many different consensus algorithm methods to validate transactions in blockchain. As an example, the proof of work consensus method uses a complex cryptographic puzzle, and whoever solves it gets the right to validate transaction and to mine new tokens. At scale, it requires enormous amounts of processing power and enormous amounts of energy for the proof of work concept. The reason that proof of work can't be done faster is because it risks the possibility that the cryptographic puzzle could be solved by two different nodes at the same time and could create something called a fork in the blockchain. It's been shown in the case of Bitcoin that this is an inelegant and slow process. Sometimes it can take up to 10 minutes for transactions to be processed through the Bitcoin blockchain. With Algorand, they use a delegated proof of stake method, which is where the RAND and Algorand comes to play, meaning randomization. So let's say with Algorand, there are 1,000 different nodes in the network. Rather than selecting the node that correctly solves a cryptographic puzzle first, the nodes are randomly selected to enter the transaction of the blockchain, which allows for decentralization. Random selection reduces the chances of bad actors in the network because Algorand's consensus protocol is designed to prevent powerful adversaries from corrupting enough users so as to control block generation. Unlike other blockchain protocols, a few delegated users or a fixed committee is not the ones who are responsible for propagating blocks. Instead, the selection of users to participate in the certification of blocks is done randomly and secretly without any communication among users. It would be nearly impossible for enough nodes to be corrupted in time to affect the network. A bad actor does not know who is going to generate the next block, so they don't know who to target until after a selected user participates in the consensus protocol. And by the time that bad actor realizes that a user is selected, it's already too late for them to benefit from the attack. The user has already sent their message and fulfilled their responsibility in the consensus protocol. So here's what the founder, Silvio Micali, has to say about network security. And I'm going to quote him here. The tokens choose themselves. In Algorand, that doesn't mean you select yourself. You execute your own individual lottery. You can only execute the lottery once, and either you win or you lose. Micali believes that this is decentralized because it randomly selects each time, and all of these nodes are random. It's secured because the cryptographic puzzle is incorporated within the theoretical lottery drawing. Therefore, it's nearly impossible to solve the cryptographic puzzle in time, even if you have an unbelievable amount of computing power. Plus, if you were attempting to overthrow the network, it would be impossible to know which nodes are the chosen nodes to enter the transaction. In terms of scalability, I think that this is still the weakest point of all the blockchain technologies, and even including Algorand. But this is where Algorand is really light years ahead of both Bitcoin and Ethereum currently. Algorand already enables 1,000 transactions per second compared to the Bitcoin network, which is able to handle about 7 transactions per second. And Algorand says that this is going to grow to over 46,000 in 2021, thanks to a truthful approach to block pipelining. The block size is expected to grow from 5,000 to 25,000, and there will likely be a reduction from 4.5 seconds per transaction to 2.5 seconds for the amount of time for a block to be added to the blockchain, as opposed to roughly 10 minutes for Bitcoin. But perhaps one of the biggest reasons for everyday folks like you and me to adopt Algorand is the potential to earn a return on your Algorand holdings. Due to the way that proof of stake works, it allows each individual who is staking their Algorand on the network to earn interest on their investment. I'm actually doing this right now with my Algorand holdings. Currently, you can earn up to 8% APY on Algorand if you hold it in the Algorand wallet, or you can hold it through Coinbase. They have that same ability with Algorand, but the rate is only currently 6% since they take a fee to manage it for you, and since they're the one that provide and maintain the nodes. I think this is a great feature of the technology and will eventually contribute to the reduction of volatility in Algorand prices. Ethereum also offers the opportunity to stake your holding and earn rewards as they attempt to move from proof of work to proof of stake, but there's a couple of key differences here. Ethereum actually requires you to manually stake your Ethereum on the network, and when you stake your Ethereum, it's locked from trading. Algorand does not require it to be locked. Ethereum also requires a minimum of 32 Ethereum to stake, unless you have it in a wallet like Coinbase, where you're still going to need at least one Ethereum to be approved by Coinbase for staking, and you have to confirm your identity by providing a photo ID. Algorand only requires one algo in order to stake it on the network, and it can be bought or sold without any worries whatsoever. So why is the market cap of Algorand only around 4 billion when Ethereum is almost 500 billion and Cardano is nearly 50 billion? So let me start out this section by saying that I do think that Algorand is undervalued. To the extent that it's undervalued, I don't really have a judgment on that, and I would hesitate to actually throw a number out there. But I do think that to a degree, they suffer the same sort of problem that my channel does. They refuse to engage in any of the hype and any of the FOMO marketing tactics that would get them more exposure. They're focused on producing a good product and creating a good development platform that many software developers feel comfortable using. I think it's really important for the future of this project. I think that Algorand use is going to grow quickly as the superior scalability issues with the project are recognized and software developers realize that it is a much more open development platform than any other blockchain. I also see very little marketing from Algorand, so I don't believe that it's really reached the consciousness of the average crypto investor yet, and particularly not for people who are using cryptocurrencies in daily transactions. And they certainly don't have an Elon Musk type of figure that's tweeting about them daily. It's really only been recently that I've noticed Algorand coverage pop up on YouTube and some other social media platforms. One of the reasons that you see Ethereum exploding and Cardano exploding is because of the network effect of individuals and influence consistently marketing and positively influencing others to invest in them. I do think both Ethereum and Cardano have great potential to take a great deal of market share away from Bitcoin, and I can also foresee Algorand doing the same. Algorand, though, is just in the early stages of development. It's a much newer coin than the other currencies that we're talking about right here. And they focused more heavily on building business-to-business partnerships rather than going after the consumer. As you can see on Algorand's use case page, they have a large number of organizations such as fintechs, traditional financial service institutions, and decentralized finance apps and startups that already use their product. Tether is probably the best known altcoin that uses the Algorand protocols because it leverages the speed and security of the protocol to give traders fast settlement and reduced counterparty risk in their fiat to digital asset transactions. Algorand has not yet been seeking outside investors like many other crypto projects yet, but they should be making an increase in marketing beginning sometime in Q4 according to what they've published. There are already more than 500 global organizations leveraging their technology at this moment. Some examples of organizations that are already using Algorand's blockchain are as follows. Circle's USDC, which is the fastest growing full reserve stablecoin in the world. Monerium, which is a financial technology company that issues regulated e-money, and the nation of the Marshall Islands, which uses Algorand to manage their own digital currency called the SOV. One of the factors of the rapid adoption of a digital currency by the Marshall Islands is probably due to the fact that a large amount of the population of the Marshall Islands actually lives in other countries and sends remittances back home to support relatives, creating a more efficient and less costly way of sending money that doesn't require paying a currency exchange an outrageous fee is certainly a benefit to those remote workers. Considering the amount of folks in the West that send remittances back to a home country, and there are tens of millions of them, I see a bright future for this application of the technology. Algorand is already working on several central bank digital currencies known as CBDCs. With all of the talk of the digital dollar and remittances, I think it's worth noting how far along Algorand is in this area in comparison to other cryptocurrencies. They have an entire section of their website dedicated to this subject, issuing CBDC using Algorand, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. Algorand, like I said before, has already created this digital currency for the nation of the Marshall Islands, and Algorand's Sean Ford says that they've already engaged with 15 or 20 different central banks around the world and that there's a lot of activity on that front. One of the biggest contributing factors, though, for this business-to-business success, and the thing that I think is really going to propel them to success in the future, has to be what Algorand has created for developers. Algorand has created a developer ecosystem that really makes it simpler for those who want to utilize it as a backbone for fintech apps or decentralized finance apps. Ethereum, for example, is primarily built with a language called Solidity, which is similar to JavaScript and directly connects to Ethereum for building smart contracts. Algorithm is more open and has an API that can accommodate many different programming languages, including Python, Java, JavaScript, C#, Dart, and Rust. It can integrate with many of the most widely used developer tools and applications and infrastructure to improve the technical side, as seen in this screenshot right here. So is Algorand a valuable investment? Well, I want to say that question is far more complex than it seems like on the surface, because the Algorand project is really the development of this protocol to allow this entire new world of definance apps to be built, and they do have a lot of competition in this space. I want to say, though, that this is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity with blockchain technologies in general, but this is still an emerging technology, and it is certainly not without risk. So understand that I'm not making a recommendation in this video. It is really just to inform. I can't predict the future, and neither can anyone else. With that disclaimer, I'm going to move on to my final conclusion here. Even today, after cryptocurrencies have been around for more than a decade, crypto is still highly speculative, and it's kind of hard to call it an investment and kind of hard to call it an asset class, even though it's starting to behave like one. It's still really unpredictable, and that has really been shown recently with things like Dogecoin. Dogecoin can move 30 to 50% on a day-to-day basis, really based on the tweets of one man. However, I do think that Algorand is proving to be one of these stronger technological projects on the market and does deserve higher consideration than most of the other coins that sit in the top 25 based on market cap. Algorand's focus on business-to-business partnerships and engagement with multiple central banks around the world make the odds of the market cap remaining where it currently is at around 4.5 to 5 billion. I think it makes it pretty unlikely, and it's going to rise. I think it's going to almost inevitably have a massive run-up in price due to investor excitement once software developers realize how much more scalable Algorand is and more DeFi apps start being created with Algorand as the backbone. There are a potential massive number of organizations that could benefit by using this technology, and I'm actually fairly optimistic about the future of Algorand, and especially considering how successful it's been even with the current lack of attention that it's getting. To me, it shows organic growth rather than growth that's built on the fear of missing out. I do not believe in technical analysis, and therefore I don't think that past performance really tells us a thing about future performance. Yet it does appear that Algorand, compared to other crypto projects, is showing a gradual gain in value that is reflective of individuals having more conviction in the promise of Algorand's future ability to solve the trilemma of decentralization, security, and scalability. This is reflected by the fact that investors seem to be holding their tokens for longer periods of time. Coinbase shows that the typical hold time for Algorand is around 24 days, while Cardano, with almost 10 times larger market cap, has a hold time of around less than 16 days, and Stellar Lumens, another popular project among investors, has a typical hold time of around 16 days as well. I think it's important to point out here the potential that interest payments have on the holding period for Algorand. It's either 6 or 8% APY, depending on where you hold your Algorand, but I think it can make an impact on investor conviction and holding period. As a hypothetical example here, and using even numbers to make the math easy to understand, let's just say theoretically that Bitcoin and Cardano are both worth $1 for the moment, or when we purchase them, and at the end of the year the price has risen to $1.50. They both returned 50%. So an investment in both of $1,000 would end up being $1,500 before fees and taxes, because we bought 1,000 tokens of each. However, if we use that same scenario and we compare, Algorand to Cardano or Algorand or Bitcoin, instead of having $1,500 at the end of the year, you could actually have $1,590. Theoretically, that would be the maximum, because you earn 6% interest on your tokens throughout the year because you stake them. I know this sounds small, but over time, through the power of compounding interest, you could actually have far greater returns in Algorand if the price appreciation remains the same between those two cryptocurrencies, because of that power of compounding interest. Now, while there's no way to predict prices, and this is not something to base an investment on, it could prove to be more appealing for investors, and it could contribute to lowering the volatility of Algorand, as it encourages longer and longer holding periods in order to collect those interest payments. And there's a benefit here to remaining passive. So where can I purchase Algorand? Algorand is not offered through some of the most popular trading apps out there, but it is offered through most coin exchanges, including Binance and Coinbase. If you want to receive that passive income up to 8% on your Algorand holdings, you can look into using that Algorand wallet. But Coinbase offers the easy option. You do pay a price for that, of course. The APY is going to be up to 6%. And there's a lot of ways to invest in Algorand, but be sure to compare between multiple wallets to ensure you're choosing the safest and most lucrative one for you, and the one that fits into your personal financial situation. Anyway, folks, I'm going to leave just a graphic up here that shows all the different places where you can buy Algorand. I'm not recommending that you do that, but I wanted to start a conversation here about cryptocurrencies, about proof of stake, and about how cryptocurrencies could be made a lot more efficient and, of course, a lot greener. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. I wanted to thank you for watching this very long video today. Be sure to check out my Patreon, like this video, and subscribe for more content. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.